An American tourist stood before the Mona Lisa at the Louvre, arms crossed and a look of deep concentration on his face. After a few minutes, he turned to a nearby museum guard and said, "You know, you're losing a lot of money here. You should have a tiered pricing system. General admission is what it is, but for €100, you get a VIP line to get a selfie right next to it, no glass. For €500, you get a 5-minute private viewing. It's basic supply and demand. I'm just giving you some free business advice to help you guys out." The guard, who had heard it all before, just gave a slight, tired nod. Dialogue I overheard in a Dutch cafe in Amsterdam between an American tourist and a local. American: "I just don't get all these bikes. It's so inefficient." "The infrastructure is all wrong." Dutch local: "It is good for health, for the environment, and it reduces traffic congestion in our narrow streets." American: "Yeah, but think of the commerce. If you replace this main bike lane with another lane for cars, you could move so much more product. You're sitting on an economic goldmine and choosing to pedal. You could have delivery trucks, taxis. Progress. You're prioritizing a hobby over real economic growth." My company sent an American consultant to our Tokyo office to improve efficiency. On his first day, he told our senior manager, a man with 40 years of experience, the whole lifelong employment and seniority-based respect thing is killing your bottom line. You need to start firing the bottom 10% of performers every year. It fosters a competitive spirit and keeps everyone sharp. Trust me, it works wonders in the States. You have to be ruthless to be successful. He seemed genuinely baffled when his advice was met with polite silence and then completely ignored for the rest of his contract. An American exchange student in Seville was complaining to our host family during the afternoon meal. "The siesta is so unproductive," she declared, putting down her fork. "All the shops close for hours." In America, we power through the day with coffee. That's why our economy is so much stronger. You're losing 3 hours of prime business time every single day. It's just bad time management on a national scale. You could increase your GDP by just staying open. A conversation at a walk-in clinic in Montreal, Canada. American tourist: "So let me get this straight. Your taxes pay for everyone's health care, even if they're lazy." Canadian: "Yes, it's a public system. We see it as a right for all citizens." American: "That's just terrible. It removes personal responsibility and creates dependency. You know, if you guys privatized it and introduced some real competition, your hospitals would be so much better. You'd have innovation, better customer service. I'm just saying, you should look into the free market model. It works." I was guiding a tour at the Roman Forum. An American man in a bright polo shirt interrupted me mid-sentence. "This is great and all," he announced, "but it's a real fixer-upper. Why hasn't anyone rebuilt it? You could turn this into a fantastic historical theme park. Imagine Caesar's Palace 2.0. You could have chariot races, gladiator shows. You're missing a huge opportunity here. You guys should hire some Disney Imagineers to properly monetize this history." An American in a London tea room loudly instructed the young waitress on how to make proper iced tea. "Look, you can't just use hot tea and put ice in it. It gets cloudy and weak. You have to brew it double strength, specifically for icing, then pour it over a full glass of ice immediately. And where's the lemon? And the sugar? You guys act like you invented tea, but you don't even know how to serve it cold. It's not that hard. I can write down the steps for you if you want." Dialogue on the German Autobahn between an American and his German colleague. American: "The Autobahn is cool, but the lack of a speed limit is just fundamentally irresponsible. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen." German: "We have very strict licensing, vehicle inspections and lane discipline. Statistically, it is quite safe." American: "But it's not logical. You need a federally mandated speed limit for everyone. One number. Simple. It's just common sense. We figured this out decades ago. It's about control and predictability, which you guys are clearly lacking on your roads." During a pub trivia night in Sydney, the topic of politics came up. An American on my team, who had been in the country for 3 days, started explaining why their parliamentary system was flawed. "It's too confusing," he said with authority. "You need a president, a strong, single executive branch, and 2 main parties, not all these little ones. It simplifies things for the voters and creates stability. You guys should really consider adopting our model. It's just more efficient." A diner from Texas called over the chef in a small family-owned restaurant in Provence. "Your menu is way too limited," he advised, pointing at the chalkboard with 4 daily specials. "You only have 4 main courses. In America, a good restaurant has options for everyone. You should add some steaks, a burger, maybe a big pasta dish. You'd triple your business. I'm just trying to help you succeed, give you a little free marketing advice." The chef, whose restaurant had a Michelin star, just smiled. I was at a public park in Vienna, which was immaculately clean. An American tourist said to me, "It's nice, but you know what this park needs? More trash cans. In the US, we have them every 20 feet. It encourages people not to litter and creates jobs for people to empty them." He said this while gesturing at the pristine, litter-free lawn, unable to grasp the concept that the local culture might value personal responsibility in keeping spaces clean without constant prompting. An American expat joined our local community garden in New Zealand. Within a week, he tried to create a garden HUA. He drafted a 3-page document of bylaws, including mandatory lawn edging for plots and fines for aesthetically unpleasing vegetable arrangements. He presented it at a meeting, genuinely believing he was improving our disorganized and chaotic system with some much-needed American structure. Dialogue at a train station in Switzerland. American: "Your trains are always on time. It's amazing, almost spooky." Swiss person: "Thank you. We pride ourselves on our national punctuality." American: "But you're missing the human element." A few delays here and there make things more exciting, more unpredictable. It builds character in the populace. This is just too perfect. It's sterile. It feels robotic. You guys need to loosen up a bit. Let things happen organically. An American tourist watching the running of the bulls in Pamplona told a local man, "This is so dangerous and outdated. You should replace the bulls with remote-controlled cars or maybe guys in mascot costumes. You get all the excitement without the lawsuits and the animal cruelty complaints. I'm surprised nobody's thought of that. It's a liability nightmare and a PR disaster waiting to happen." I worked at a bookstore in Scotland that specialised in local authors. An American came in and started rearranging a display of Scottish poetry. When I asked what he was doing, he said, "I'm making it more accessible. You can't just lump all these poets together by author. You need to organise them by theme, like love, war, or humour, the way Barnes and Noble does. People need clear categories to help them buy. You're making the customer do too much work." A conversation I witnessed in a traditional Korean spa, Jimjilbang. American: "Why is everyone naked in the bathing area? It's a little weird and unsanitary." Korean man: "It is our custom. It is for hygiene and comfort. We wash thoroughly before entering the pools." American: "I get that, but it's bad for business. You'd get way more customers, especially tourists, if you made swimsuits mandatory. A lot of people aren't comfortable with this. You're alienating a huge market segment. You should offer a Western-style option." An American on a tour of a medieval castle in Ireland complained to the guide, "There's no Wi-Fi and the stairs are a death trap. You guys really need to modernise this place. A simple elevator and some well-placed routers would make this a 5-star experience. You have to think about the customer journey. History is great, but convenience is what gets you good reviews on TripAdvisor." My American neighbour in our quiet English village tried to organise a neighbourhood watch programme. He held a meeting in the pub and explained the need for scheduled patrols, a phone tree and a hotline for suspicious activity. Everyone just stared at him until one old lady said, "Dear, If Mrs. Higgins's cat goes missing, we'll find it. We don't need walkie-talkies and a command center. We just talk to each other. Dialogue at a bustling market in India. American, the haggling is so stressful and dishonest. Why not just put a fixed price on everything? Shopkeeper, it is part of the experience, the interaction, the relationship. American, but it's inefficient. Think of how many more customers you could serve if you had fixed prices and a checkout line. It's basic retail strategy. You're leaving money on the table every time you stop to argue over a few rupees. You need to scale up your thinking. An American tourist at a Buddhist temple in Thailand was watching monks meditate. He whispered to his friend, loud enough for everyone to hear, "They're just sitting there. They should be multitasking. They could be listening to a self-improvement podcast or an audiobook on investing. It's a real waste of human potential. Think of what they could accomplish if they used this time more productively." I was in a pub in Liverpool when an American started giving the bartender advice on the beer selection. "You have way too many local beers and weird ciders," he said, pointing at the taps. "You need more variety. Get some Bud Light, some Miller Lite, maybe a Coors. You have to cater to international tastes, not just focus on your own little bubble here. You're ignoring a huge demographic of drinkers who want something familiar and light." An American student in my Italian art history class argued with the professor that Renaissance art was objectively less skilled than modern photorealism. "My uncle can paint a portrait that looks exactly like a photograph," she insisted. "Why are we celebrating these guys who couldn't even get perspective right half the time? It's just not as good. Art should be about technical perfection, and we've perfected it since then." Dialogue at a forest preschool in Sweden. American parent, you let the children nap outside in the cold in just their snowsuits. Swedish teacher, yes, bundled up warmly. It is very good for their immune systems, and they sleep very well in the fresh air. American parent, that's insane. In America, we'd be sued for child endangerment. You need to create a more controlled, sterile, indoor environment. I'm just concerned about your safety protocols. There are liability issues all over this. An American tourist in Egypt looking at the pyramids of Giza. Incredible! But the visitor experience is a total mess. There's no clear path, no gift shop at the top, and no Starbucks. Someone needs to get a good project manager in here and really streamline the whole operation. The potential for branding is huge. You could have Pyramid Kinos. It practically markets itself. I overheard an American telling a street musician in Prague, "Your technique on that violin is pretty good, but your song choice is all wrong. You're playing this sad classical stuff. You need to play Taylor Swift or something upbeat from a Disney movie. You'd make way more money. People want to hear what they already know and love. It's a simple business formula." An American manager at my office in Germany was baffled by our mandatory 6 weeks of vacation. "It's a productivity killer," he told our boss in a meeting. "You should offer to let employees cash out their vacation days for a bonus. Give them an incentive to work. That's how you build a motivated workforce. You're basically paying people to do nothing for over a month. It's anti-capitalist." Dialogue on a beach in Brazil. American, why are your swimsuits so small for both men and women? Brazilian, it is the style. We are comfortable with our bodies and the sun. American, but it's not very family friendly. You should market a line of board shorts and one-piece suits. You could call it the American Cut or Modesty line. It would sell like crazy to the tourists and more conservative locals. It's just a thought, a gap in the market I'm seeing. An American tourist in a Japanese Zen garden was complaining to his wife. "It's just a bunch of rocks and sand. Where are the flowers? A garden is supposed to be colourful and vibrant. This is just lazy. They should hire a proper landscaper from back home to brighten this place up with some rose bushes and a nice fountain. It's depressing and frankly a little boring." I was at a vineyard in Argentina where an American was lecturing the winemaker. "You focus way too much on Malbec," he said confidently. "It's a one-trick pony. You need to diversify your portfolio. Plant some Cabernet, some Zinfandel. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's a fundamental principle of risk management. You're too exposed to shifts in the Malbec market. An American in Iceland, looking at the northern lights. It's amazing, but it's so unpredictable. You know what would be a game changer? A giant laser projection system that creates an artificial aurora every night at 9 p.m. sharp. You could charge for it. Guaranteed satisfaction. You can't build a tourism business on maybe. You need reliability. This is a solvable problem with today's technology. I watched an American tourist explain to an Italian nonna at a market how to improve her pasta sauce. You're using fresh tomatoes. That must take forever, he said. You should use canned crushed tomatoes and add a little sugar to cut the acidity. It's faster, more consistent, and honestly, it tastes more like the sauce we're used to. It's a simple life hack you might appreciate. The woman, who had been using the same recipe for 70 years, just smiled and offered him a basil leaf. An American tourist in a historic walkable city centre in Italy complained to his hotel concierge, "Getting around here is a nightmare. There's nowhere to park. You guys seriously need to demolish a few of these old buildings and put in a proper multi-storey parking garage. You have to choose between history and convenience, and right now you're making the wrong choice for modern tourists." Dialogue with a museum curator in Greece. American. This exhibit on ancient democracy is a little dry. It's all just pottery shards and old text. Curator. It is a scholarly presentation of historical artifacts. American. Right, but you need to make it more engaging. You should have an interactive display where you can vote like an Athenian or a VR experience of Pericles' speech. And the ending is a downer. You should focus more on how it inspired America. Give it a more uplifting, patriotic narrative. An American manager transferred to France was aghast at the 2-hour lunch breaks. "No one should need 2 hours for lunch," he told his team. "It breaks the workflow. We're going to implement a 30-minute at-desk lunch policy. We'll be twice as productive." He couldn't understand why his entire team threatened to quit, and he was forced to retract the policy after a single day. I saw an American tourist talking to a Japanese swordsmith who was painstakingly hand-forging a katana. "The craftsmanship is amazing," the American said, "but your production is incredibly slow. Have you ever considered setting up an assembly line? You could have one guy do the forging, another the polishing. You could probably make 10 swords in the time it takes you to make one. You need to scale your operation."